Hello YouTube, my name's Rebecca. I'm known as the Bible Girl here on YouTube. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, this channel is a little bit of a hodgepodge of things. We talk about faith in my faith journal faith journey, I apologize. Things that I am doing in my Bibles and my journals. To grow my relationship closer to the Lord. We also talk about disability and the different aspects of that. I have cerebral palsy, so I come at it from that perspective when I talk about disability and things of that nature. So my previous videos have been very faith-based, which have been getting views, and I appreciate that. We're gonna switch gears today. We're gonna go back to talking a little bit about disability. This is kind of just a chit-chat video about a topic that I got inspired by through a post that I saw on a cerebral palsy group that I'm a part of on Facebook. Someone had posted a question about I can't remember the exact wording, so if you find this video and watch it, please feel free to send me an email at thebiblegirl2025@gmail.com. That's thebiblegirl2025@gmail.com. If I mispronounced your question, or if you have video ideas you want me to do in the future, things like that. But going back, I believe that the post was something along the lines of, what's something about cerebral palsy that they never told you about, like people never told you about, or you didn't realize was going to happen. Again, I could be not wording it completely correctly, but I saw that post and there were many comments on it, and it really intrigued me to reflect on it myself and what I feel that wasn't brought to my attention, or I didn't realize about cerebral palsy, but as I've gotten older, I have realized it, and some of it's very hurtful and misleading, and I also want to mention how we can kind of cope with those things. So for me, what I've experienced is the lack of support and opportunities, resources that are available to us, especially as adults. And I'm not talking about like family, friends. I have plenty of that, which I'm very blessed and thankful for. I'm talking about in our communities and within government and things of that nature. Now, I'm not going to get into a crazy political view on this because I'm not into politics and I don't want this channel to become anything like that. But what I will say is that in my experience, the lack of help for finding employment and things of that nature has been very prevalent to me. When I was in high school and deciding like what I was going to be doing, with my life, I knew I wanted to go to college, and I had gotten a degree in therapeutic recreation, and I had worked with an agency. I was working with the BRS, and I don't remember what that stands for. I apologize, but it was an organization that supposedly was supposed to help people with disabilities find employment opportunities, but they were like constantly like evaluating if I like qualified for their assistance, and I found that to be like super strange because like I used like I'm not just saying like I use a wheelchair, like my wheelchairs are custom. They're not like just this wheelchairs you see people might buy at like a Walmart or just like a basic push wheelchair or something like that. You know, I'm using wheelchairs by big wheelchair companies like Quantum and Quickie and things like that. So I thought that was very strange, and when they first did it, I kind of got it, but they did it many times, and they kept saying like, we're evaluating if she qualifies, and it just became very discouraging and became very prevalent that they were not interested in helping me for whatever reason that might have been. I'm not really sure. Fast forward some, and I went to start looking for work, in the sense of like internships for college, and eventually a career itself. And that journey was very eye-opening to me. And for me, finding internships when I was in college was super, super challenging because I knew I wanted to do something in therapeutic recreation because that was my major, as well as these internships were being done in the summer, so they had to be excuse me, with my degree being in the recreation and leisure study, I knew I needed a career that I had to do with recreation, and in summer there's a lot of recreation activities outside, and for me, I don't do well with heat. That's another change that I'll talk about in a little bit, but anyway, so I knew I wanted to go into a nursing home because I knew that's what I wanted, and I wanted to be able to say when I graduated college that I already had experience in nursing homes. So it was very, very challenging for me to find nursing homes that were willing to take me on as an intern. So I was blessed and fortunate, thanks to the Lord, who is so good in my life, that I was able to find internships and find nursing homes that were willing to work with me. But they didn't give me an opportunity to build a career with them after, which was a little hurtful. So when I started going for actual jobs, I went on I don't know how many interviews. Now I know everyone has to look for jobs. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is when I would go into different facilities to interview for jobs, I always felt this pull, this should I or shouldn't I, of do I tell them I'm in a wheelchair before I go there, or do I say nothing and let them find out when they saw me. So I did both. And as time went on, I really didn't like not disclosing it. I felt like it was a lie to not disclose it. Because it is a part of it. It's something I use. It's a. I hate saying it's a part of me because I don't like labeling like anything like with my disability, but it is something I do deal with, and I think hiding that and not disclosing that is harmful, not just with work, but even just like dating or anything like that. I'm a big believer in just putting it out there, because you can't hide it forever. You just can't. It's there, right? So that's a big thing for me. So I went on many interviews, and most places I disclosed before I went there that I was in a power wheelchair. So, and obviously a lot of them didn't like that because I couldn't transport the residents from their rooms to the activity, and they didn't want to work to find a way to make that be accommodated. I was fortunate to meet someone who actually did do that and gave me an opportunity, and I was able to have a job for a few years with that person till they left, and I lost my job because of COVID and a few other factors. So, so then that was really discouraging, and it took me some time to figure out if I wanted to go back to work, and I did want to go back to work, but it was really challenging because I ended up facing the same things again of telling people I was in a wheelchair, and they got me coming for the interview, but then they wouldn't give me the opportunity because I couldn't do A, B, C, and D. And they didn't want to make an accommodation for that. So, number one, I know that was a little bit of a layout, I'm sorry, but the number one biggest thing one of the biggest things that wasn't told to me, well, that wasn't clear when I was younger, and I was a 30-year-old woman, that, about cerebral palsy, that I wish somebody would have told me is the challenges of finding help and support within a community and government. That's the first thing. They're out there, they're just challenging. Someone commented that too. The other thing for me is the sensitivity to things and the spasms. So I have spastic quadriplegic cerebral palsy, so that means my muscles are spazzing often, kind of all the time. They don't hurt all the time. I almost don't realize how often I'm spazzing, but they are, and as I've gotten older, the startling that will make me jump and get scared, or the chills or the shivers that I'll get, even in like July. It's not even so much that I'm cold. I think it's just like my body. So those have gotten a little bit worse as I've gotten older. I don't really mind them. Sometimes the startle reflex bothers me a lot, but for the most part, it's not the end of the world. So those definitely got a little bit worse as I got older, but definitely for me, sensitivity to weather has gotten worse, I think, as I've gotten older. So when I was very young, I was at a summer camp, and we were mainly outside all day. It was hot, and I did the camp, and I left there feeling not good. I felt very, very sick. And, excuse me. And they had provided, like, an accessible school bus to bring me to and from the camp. And the bus driver knew when they were bringing me home that I did not look good and that I was going to be sick, or that I was sick. So they got me home, and I did get sick. I don't remember if I got sick on the bus or if I got sick as soon as I got home, but I did get sick, and I was super overheated. Like, I could not get my body temperature to cool down. And it took a really long time to do that, and that's still a struggle I have today. There's really this, for me, there's just everything I'm disclosing are things I personally experienced in my life. You may not be experiencing these, but the sensitivity to heat as I've gotten older is only more sensitive. Like, there really is this small window of, like, late March to mid-June and late August to, like, mid-October where I can really be outside and get some really nice fresh air. Like, if I go out and it's humid and I'm out for very long, I get overheated fast. And the other thing is I have my arms, if I'm in the sun too long, this can even happen in the spring when the weather's good for me to be outside, I get very itchy. My arms get red, they get itchy. It's not fun. We've discovered that it's a zinc issue, so I have to put on special sunblock that has zinc in it. Luckily it's easy to find, praise God. Neutrogena makes it. You can get it at Walmart and stuff. But the itchiness in my arms, like, it will last for days. It's not as quick as, like, I'll just get out of the sun and it goes away. It'll last a day or so. Even longer, depending on how long I'm in the sun for without the sunblock. So yeah. Now, are these things frustrating? Yes. Absolutely. But do I let them rule my life and how I choose to view my life and the way I choose to go about it? Not really. I've learned what works for me and what doesn't. I know when I can and can't go outside. I know that having an actual career may not be really a path for me, which is part of the reason I started this channel. Not to make a career or to anything like that, but to feel like I was providing something to society. And I can do it at home, and no one is telling me how to do it, or what I can talk about, or anything like that. I can say what I want, I can disclose what I want, and no one can throw anything back in my face. So does it hurt that I loved helping the elderly and working in a nursing home, but I do believe God does everything for a reason, and we do now live in a world with COVID, so I don't want to be put back in that situation. So I think the path I'm on now is exactly what God intended for me all along. It just took me time to get there. I'm just trying to think if there was anything else that I wanted to discuss about having cerebral palsy as an adult that I didn't realize, or that wasn't really discussed, that I wish I knew about. don't know if this one that I'm going to discuss, and this will probably be the last one that I can think of off the top of my head, is like stomach issues, in the sense of like having bowel movements that are more on the looser side than other times. I don't know if that's a CP thing. It's definitely something I've experienced more of lately. I don't know what the cause of that is. I am trying to figure it out. That can be a very that's definitely one of the more stressful topics I think I deal with, because sometimes you just don't know if that's going to happen, and there's not always an opportunity, as we know, to go to the bathroom. So sometimes that can be stressful, especially when you ask something really, really important. So that has been a little bit of a frustrating thing. But I've also learned ways to cope with that too, so it doesn't rule my, doesn't take over my brain and my anxiety and my life just in general. And the way I do deal with that is, if I'm going to something that's really important to me, like, for example, I went to a play with my mom 2 nights ago. Yeah, 2 nights ago. And, you know, we had been waiting to see this play. I got the tickets for her back at Christmas. So we'd been waiting months to see this play. And I was worried, like, oh, is my stomach going to act up if I'm at the play? Like, I'm not going to be near home. I don't want to have to leave the play. So when things like that happen, when I have events that are important to me that I don't want to be fearful of something happening, I'll just take an Imodium before the event. And then that kind of will stop anything from happening that could potentially happen. You know, so I don't do that anytime I'm going out. Not like, oh, I'm going to the grocery store, I don't want an accident to happen, I'm going to take an Imodium. No. It's like, I'm going to, like I said, a play, and it's like I don't want to have to leave the play. Or I'm going to a wedding for a family member, or something like that. Those are moments when I will take an Imodium just to be on the safe side. So yeah. So are there definitely things about cerebral palsy that I wish I knew when I was younger? Yeah. I wish I knew. And there have been changes I've had to do with the way I transfer or the way I go about certain things. Yeah. But is it the end of the world? Has it been awful? No. Everybody's life changes, whether you have a disability or not. It's how you adapt and how you work with it once you see the changes. And remembering that God, that our Lord Jesus, is with us wherever we go and whatever we're facing. So when we're having those moments of frustration with our disability or just life in general, go to Him in prayer. He wants to hear from you. You're not telling Him anything He doesn't already know. I promise you that. And if you think you're bothering Him, you're not. So that's my piece of advice. For your own personal well-being and stuff, lean on His word, lean on prayer, and just trust in Him. As far as when you're physically going through those things, just be like, okay, this is how it is now, so how am I going to fix that? How am I going to cope with that? Like me, if you're having a hard time finding job opportunities or help from the community or the government, look at ways that you can be of the way you can contribute, or something like you can do that will make you feel like your life is purposeful. Maybe it's creating a YouTube channel like I did. Maybe it's writing a book. Maybe it's creating something within the community that you don't see. You can do those things. Your disability does not control your life. You have no control over your disability. That was given to you by, some people believe it comes because of sin and the fall. I believe it comes from God to be a different view and a different light in the world that other people are not capable of. However you view it, it's there. So you can either embrace it and see how you can do it to better your life and others, or you can let it control you. I feel like there is so much more to gain out of your life if you try to view, like, how can I use my circumstances to help others? That's what I try to do. And that's what I hope I do on this channel. So, I think that's everything I wanted to say. This video has been about a half hour already. I think I addressed all the bigger issues that I have personally faced. If I think of other ones, I might do a part 2 to this series, to this video. I'm not sure yet, but I hope that this gave you some encouragement to know, like, there are gonna be things about your disability that maybe you weren't aware of before. You're not alone when you face those things, and with the right support and love, you can find a way to cope with them and manage them. I hope that this video was encouraging to you all. If you have any questions or any video ideas, like I said, you can always send me an email, thebiblegirl2025@gmail.com. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe to my channel. I'd like to see my channel continue to grow. And I'm thankful for the subscribers I already have. That's such a blessing for me. And I'm going to be working, hopefully, on my my Ultimate Prayer Bible. I kind of teased about that in a different video. I'm hoping to work on that over the next week and maybe share a little bit of that in next week's video. Uploading on Fridays has been easier for me, so I think that's kind of what I'm going to stick with. It's a Friday upload schedule. Yeah. So thank you so much. God bless. We'll talk soon. Bye.